Can I? Oh, I see. Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. Sorry. Good morning, all. I am Brandon Pinkney, the proud principal of Walter P. Carter Elementary Middle School, and I would like to welcome you to our new and greatly improved campus at Walter P. Carter. At Walter P. Carter, we are very proud of our caring, inclusive attitude and environment where we set high standards and expectations for our scholars to achieve academically by putting their social-emotional needs at the forefront of their work. At WPC here, we truly teach to the hearts of our scholars before attempting to capture their minds. From the moment a new staff and/or student joins our school community, we want them to feel a sense of love and belonging, as this is essential to their future success. As we continue in-person learning in this 21st century learning space, as a lead learner of WPC, I will promise to lead with our school's mission at the forefront of the work by authentically connecting and implementing highly effective instruction, SEL practices, and providing community and family engagement opportunities in a collaborative environment. As I close this welcome and bring on Principal Lewis, I would like to echo the words of the late and great Walter P. Carter in 1971. The world is not so much complex that highly intelligent, articulate, dedicated men cannot address its problems. Therefore, I would like to commend and thank Baltimore City Public Schools and the Maryland Stadium Authority for seeing a problem with the inadequate buildings, learning spaces for our staff and students of Baltimore City, and working to ensure that regardless of any circumstances, that our staff and scholars are afforded buildings and learning spaces that speak to the character of scholars that we deem to develop into true leaders, innovators, and collaborators prepared to explore the world of endless possibilities. Thank you, and I would like to bring on Principal Lewis.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to all of our distinguished guests today. I am Latoya Lewis, the proud principal of Lois T Murray Elementary Middle School, where our vision is to find the keys, unlock the door, and open the future for all our students. Our students may have significant cognitive disabilities, but they thrive and reach new goals every day. Our namesake, Lois Taylor Murray, recognized this potential, and she served for many years our students with disabilities in Baltimore City. Today at Lois T Murray, we continue with this passion and dedication. We are so grateful to now have a 21st century school building that is equipped with 2 sensory rooms, a life skills lab, and ample learning space for our students and staff. We look forward to the collaboration that will occur at Walter P. Carter Elementary School, our new neighbors, as well as all the new available opportunities for our students here at this new campus. We are so excited to be hosting you all today, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of colors by the Carver Vocational Technical High School Army JROTC Color Guard. Joining us today are Cadet First Sergeant Khalil Scott, Cadet Captain Dre Wright, Cadet Master Sergeant Cameron Dixon, and Cadet Master Sergeant Kai Severance Smith. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. John Page, a member of the class of 2024 Baltimore School for the Arts, will perform virtually The Impossible Dream from Man of La Mancha.
To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world would be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star.
Ms. Linda Chinia, former district employee, served Baltimore City over 38 years in various capacities and was appointed to the Baltimore City Board of School Commissioners in 2014. Ms. Chinia has served as vice chair and assumed the role of chair in July 2019. Please give a warm welcome to Ms. Linda Chinia.
Good morning. And I want to say good morning to all who have joined us, especially want to acknowledge Senator Washington and those who have joined us either in person or via live stream. Thank you for being with us this morning. No one could deny that the last year has been filled with extraordinary challenges. This school year was one of profound change, and it required each of us to be creative, to be flexible, and resilient. And while things were always not very easy, we did persevere, and we did that together. And so on behalf of the Board of School Commissioners, I want to thank every student, every parent, every teacher, and every member of City Schools team for all that you have achieved this year. It has been our honor to serve you. And I also want to thank Dr. Santelises for her steady leadership throughout her tenure, but especially during the pandemic. One of the board's priorities is the health, safety of our students and our staff during either virtual, hybrid, or in-person venues. And Dr. Santelises has positioned the district as a national leader in health and safety standards, including leading the way in testing both symptomatic and asymptomatic, protecting our staff and our students, and for that, the board says thank you. Other priorities of the board include increasing the engagement and communication with the community in decision-making processes, and working to cooperatively develop and implement a plan to effectively reduce the impact of incomplete learning opportunities for our students during the 2019-20 and 2020-21 school years. I and my fellow board members have had the opportunity to visit schools throughout the year and to engage with the CEO, our staff, and our students. Watching our school community pull together and continue to educate and support one another was amazing. American psychologist Carl Rogers said, "What you are to be, you are now becoming." And so as we reflect on the past while looking toward the future and a full reopening this fall, I firmly believe that together we are becoming a stronger school district. And so thank you, all of the stakeholders of city schools.
Been a long road.
We've demolished many barriers, and I still believe.
I still believe that all students have the greatest potential.
I still believe that we'll find innovative ways to reach our students.
I still believe in our families and will always help them succeed, always.
I still believe that our students deserve as many chances as it takes.
I believe that achievement, while earned, is the right of each student.
I still believe in my school.
I still believe I can get a great education in Baltimore.
I still believe in you, and we always will.
An educator, academic, and administrator, Dr. Sonia Santelises has spent 30 years focused on building high-quality teaching and learning to help students excel. Her career has taken her from nonprofits to higher education to K-12. Throughout her career, she has been steadfast in her belief that excellence in urban education is achievable at scale, and all have the capacity for success as any other students. Please give a warm welcome to your CEO, Dr. Sonia Brookins Santelises.
Morning, everyone. I want to just thank everybody for joining us here today, those of you who are here today at Walter P. Carter, and those of you who are joining via live stream through Facebook or YouTube. It's great to be here. I will tell you that introduction it took me a little bit aback. I'm used to just kind of rolling fairly casual, but today is an important day because we're gonna go through a little bit of where we are as a district. But before we get started, I want to just thank again Principal Pinckney and Principal Lewis for hosting us here today. And then I also want to just take a few quick seconds to recognize some more folks who enable and support me each day. Because I will tell you, without them, there's no way I could do this position. First and foremost, and folks who know me by now know that I am a big family person, and I need to thank my family. I need to thank my husband, Lou. We just celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary. Each year I wonder why he continues to stay as I plow through as CEO, but every year he's there and he is one of my rocks. I want to thank my three girls, Catrielle, Francesca, and Talia, who share me with 79,000 other students in Baltimore City, and they willingly do so each year. So I want to thank them. I also want to thank the Board of School Commissioners just for their confidence, the way that they challenge me, and our shared vision to improve the lives of students. here in Baltimore City, and really appreciate the board that I have. I also want to thank Mayor Brandon Scott for his tireless efforts in support of our school system. I said to the mayor during one of the many graduations this year that this is the first time that since I've been CEO that a mayor of Baltimore City has beat me to more graduations. And so I'm going to take back that honor next year, but this year he earned it, so I want to thank him. He could not be here with us today, but we are fortunate that he asked Faith Leach, Deputy Mayor of Equity, Health, and Human Service, here on his behalf. So we want to thank the Deputy Mayor for being here as well. I want to thank the Baltimore City Council as well as our state and federal elected officials for their partnership. Many thanks to the numerous volunteers and partners that contribute to the well-being of our young people. And most importantly, I want to thank students, families, and employees of city schools. This year was unprecedented. It was incredibly demanding, and it required all of us to look at education, really, and each other in ways that we never had to before. And we stuck together, we pulled through, and I really am thankful for all of you. Now, the state of Baltimore City schools right now, I don't think is captured with just a single word. So it's not just emerging, it's not strong in areas, it's not growing alone. It really is a combination of all of that. And without a doubt, our school system is in a place where we have the human capital, the resources, and the focus to meet this moment. But they also, those phrases don't also fully capture the complexity of what it means to effectively educate young people in an urban environment like Baltimore City, K through 12, in the year 2021. The school system really is still facing a reckoning of decades of chronic underfunding, lesser engagement, and frankly, weak academic expectations. And we can't blame COVID solely for this. One of the things that has become true is that this pandemic has only exacerbated what some of the fault lines and challenges were prior to it coming. But what it has also done is allowed us to see where our pockets of strength are, where our growth is, where we can shore up, as well as where we can build from. So I will tell you that as I stand here today, this work is not about surface, cosmetic, quick fixes that will then prove unsustainable. This is about the long-term improvement that a principal, Mark Martin at Commodore John Rogers, recently conveyed to me in a conversation we were having. And one of the things that he said to me and he challenged me to do was to not just judge him by what happened in a year, to not just judge his work and his team's work by what happened in 2 years, but to judge his work based on the long-term life trajectories that his young people were experiencing. So as he tracked the college going rate of his school's graduates, as he looked to their careers and some of them, their families, that is where ultimately our final prize lies. So as we look at where we are now, I want to encourage us, not just as city schools, but as the city of Baltimore and as a community, to not let go of the long-term impact that we are seeking to make, even as we face immediate challenges that are health-related, the racial unrest, and the continued challenges, frankly, of just day-to-day in this new era. That goal has not changed, and it will not change, and it grounds our work. So where we are now is we're really at a place where we are building on and able to build on investments that we've made, and we're beginning to see some of that impact. In one way that we're doing that is even in the physical plants like the one that we're in. According to a 2020 study by Johns Hopkins University, students in city schools over a 5-year period between 2015 and 2020 missed more than 1.5 million hours of class time because of broken heating, cooling units, busted pipes, and other mechanical issues. Thousands of our students missed out on classroom instruction on those days simply because buildings did not function properly. But our own investments reinforce what the research says, and that is learning space, buildings matter when it comes to student learning. So one of the things that we're seeing as we sit here in Walter P. Carter today is that this is one of nearly 20 campuses that have opened within the last 5 years. There are another 7 schools under construction. Most of these buildings were constructed through the 21st Century Schools Partnership, and 2 were the work of our very own City Schools Operations team. This spring, we also hit a milestone with our investment in HVAC units. By the fall, only 24 of our schools will be without functioning heating and cooling, and that is down from 78 just a few years ago. These are the investments that were years in the making. They are the results of the year-over-year focus by the community, by our leaders, by families, legislators, and even some folks who are no longer with us. This is the result, again, of a long-term commitment to a trajectory of success for our young people. Now, our most significant effort currently and over the past few months and the next few weeks will really be our Reconnect, Restore, and Reimagine effort that a partner recently shared with Chief Tina High-Hubbard. They viewed as one of the most robust internal planning and community engagement efforts of any LEA across our state. No, it's not perfect. No, it's not complete, but it is essential that if we are to move forward in the coming months and years, that we make this move together. By the end of June, we will have hosted more than 40 community meetings and offered 2 broad-based gathering efforts to gain a clearer picture of our community's desires. And I will say this year we have yielded the largest response to surveys, to instant replies than we have in my duration of being in city schools, either as Chief Academic Officer or CEO, and that is kudos to our team. By the late summer, we'll bring you the more detailed plan that balances our expertise with your feedback. But we do know this. Our plan will bring our students back into the fold personally. It will begin to restore learning, and we'll do it with innovation. The other piece is that we will base this work and are basing this work on what we've already learned and what we're already building towards. Even at this early juncture, we can draw clear parallels between our planning and what you expect to see. This is most clear in the community's desire, and what we have heard from our team is personalized learning in literacy and math. This was one of the highest priorities for more than 4,000 people that responded to our input surveys during May. This school year, city schools will invest in all students' recovery and academic growth, first by making sure that we are individually assessing in both literacy and math to determine where learning gaps as well as learning strengths exist. What this will look like is teachers will develop individualized student learning plans by the end of the first quarter to provide guides to families and students to address any unfinished learning caused by the pandemic. And I do want to emphasize here, one of the pieces of advice and input and I don't think she'll mind me saying this, from our Teacher of the Year this year, Sydney Thomas. And one of the things that she advised me is that, Dr. S., it's not just about the written plan, it's about the ability to have the conversations so that families and teachers know where students are, but that students themselves know where they are. So while we are committing to an individualized personal plan, we are also committing to the kind of ongoing conversation that many of our families told us is necessary if we are going to cover this ground together. We'll also make sure that families can expect to see a variety of options in play, such as adding an extra hour to the day for some of our most struggling students, while we identify some of our most successful teachers to meet those students' needs. We'll have small group differentiated instruction, and we've learned from our tutoring that has been most successful, making that available to more families across city schools. We'll have prioritized learning standards and adaptive learning through digital platforms, as well as expanded mentoring. Those are all the tools, and some, I would say, have yet to be surfaced, but those are some of the beginning tools we will be using to commit to a differentiated support for all of our young people. The other piece that we know is paying off is our investment in technology. It was absolutely unprecedented. We, like school districts across the state and country, had to pivot, and as a result, city schools acquired and provided, with the help of everyone from our city leaders and some of our state leaders, as well as everyday citizens, and readjustments in our own city schools budget. We provided students with nearly 49,000 Chromebooks and 12,000 hotspots. But the great news about that is that that investment was not just for a pandemic. That investment is for the long-term access to technology that our young people deserved. And one of the things that I heard from a number, particularly of our elementary school teachers, was that for the first time, because every young person had a Chromebook, because every young person had technology, they were actually able to use more of the tools that were embedded in our own curriculum, but required a virtual platform. What they were seeing is that now, with the access that technology is providing, one of their big requests to me is, whatever we do, Dr. S, let's not just put these Chromebooks, this technology back in a corner. Let's make sure that this investment continues to impact young people for the long haul. One of the things that we also need to take into consideration is the fact that our community is clear that effective, nurturing culture and climate in our school buildings matter. Gorgeous buildings like this will mean nothing if we do not have the culture and climate to actually support and nurture our young people as they return, many of whom will be coming from incredibly challenged situations. Many individuals spent the last 16 months of their lives largely isolated from their peers, with schedules that were haphazard and were often not conducive to optimal learning. We are prioritizing the return to in-person, but more than 43% of RRR survey respondents in May cited school culture as the top priority when their young people return. One of the things that we've learned throughout, again, the last 18 months, is that the wellness pauses during the course of the day matter, not just in a virtual environment, but in-person environment. We launched offerings like Mindfulness Thursday. Many schools hosted regular office hours to help students and families navigate the moment's flurry of emotions and challenges. I will even say, as a city schools mom, the idea that both of my sixth graders' teachers could get me at a moment's notice via my cell phone, that I could schedule virtual meetings to get updates on their progress, actually made me feel in some ways more connected during this time than I might have been otherwise. Those are lessons, those are learnings that we will build on and we will continue. Now, with regards to what families can expect with regards to some of the investments as we move back to school, they should begin to see an increase in social workers at every school. Now, 2 years ago, Baltimore City made the budgetary commitment. We realigned our existing dollars and committed to every single school having at least one social worker, which had previously not been the case. We will be building on that investment because we know some school communities, some neighborhoods in our city, families need additional supports, and their young people do too. So we will be increasing our investment in social workers, and we will be offering mini grants for campuses for projects that engage students, staff, and families. And they will be schools like the schools that we're sitting in right now. Like Lois T Murray, like Walter P. Carter. These are schools that already have, and I will say this because Principal Pinckney is there, his staff already adores him because he does regular check-ins with them. Lois T Murray, we know that there's already a whole family approach to serving young people. What we need to do is make investment in what is working. And we know that in schools where there is a deliberate building of culture, it's working, it's bringing families back, and most importantly, it's giving young people what they need to learn and thrive. Now, one of the areas that has received a lot of attention nationally, as well as at the state level, is with regard to our early learning, the challenges our early learners have faced. It is widely acknowledged that some of the students that have had the most challenges during this time have been our earliest learners, pre-K through 2. A number of them, frankly, we know neurologically that they learn best through play, they learn best through interaction, their executive functioning, that ability to plan how you're going to do the work and organize your activity, that is best learned in person. And we know, by the way, that our pre-K within city schools is one of the strengths that will allow us not only to return well, but to set the foundation that our young people needed. So one of the things that we know is that our early learning results clearly show that we offer the best start for the youngest learners in Baltimore City. The fruits, again, of our previous long-term investment are apparent. And based on the biennial kindergarten readiness assessments that were last taken in the 1920 school year, more than 4,200 students in Baltimore attended a pre-K campus. And what we see is that in the last KRA, it was clear that early learners enrolled in our programs or a Judy Center were far more likely to be ready for kindergarten based on that assessment. What we need to be doing and what we will do is we will continue that investment and we will also expand because we know that play and socialization are important to our youngest learners' development. Our early learning office is planning to offer 4,400 seats during the 21-22 school year, and likewise, we are also increasing the number of virtual and in-person engagement opportunities to inform families and share our vision. So in July, look for our virtual information sessions that we know even as we come out of this pandemic, even as we're able to do more, as more and more folks get vaccinated. Thank you, Dr. D. As more people get vaccinated, one of the things that will remain true is that we will need and will continue to provide those opportunities both formally and informally for our youngest learners and families to connect. Now, one of the things I want us to do next is I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to picture yourself in a classroom like this one. You're a young student, full of desire, anticipation, energy, and you see the words written on the whiteboard. You can make sense of some of them, but when you leave school, the bulk of every verbal and written conversation you have is in a language other than English. This population of student is growing at incredible rates for us. Between 2018 and 2020, the number of English learners, or ELs, in an abbreviated term, in city schools grew roughly from 5,700 to about 7,800 students. Today's figure is right at about 10% of our entire student enrollment. That means that 1 in every 10 city school student could be that student in the classroom that I just described. Now, this is a challenging environment in which to learn, but one of the things that we're seeing in city schools is that we're experiencing increased gains. Today, we have more than doubled our EL exit rate from 3 to 7%, and that's in 1 year, and that's more than twice as many students. The exit rate represents the percentage of English language students that attained enough proficiency in English to leave the program and flourish in a more traditional classroom environment. But here's why that investment pays off. Exited English learners have a higher attendance rate, higher graduation rate, and lower dropout rate than their peers in the program. In many cases, their academic outcomes are at or near the top of the district. We are advancing ELs through the program and giving them a boost in their educational career. Their success helps to drive improved outcomes across the district. That is a major return for all of our students and families. Now, picture yourself as a student back in the classroom, but now you understand and can apply the lessons being taught. Growing numbers of city schools' ELs receive the support needed to reach these pivotal turning points. Now, as we look through the pandemic, one of the things that somebody asked me the other day in a conversation with aspiring district leaders was, how do you remain focused on the main thing? And one of the things I said is, it's actually hard. There are a number of different things flying at any given time. But one of the things that we are seeing, even in the midst of a pandemic, is that, again, our investments are paying a dividend. Our investments in literacy, our commitment to focusing on making sure that the backbone of learning is solid for young people, showed that Baltimore City students improved their literacy rate at a rate greater than many of their peers. From the beginning of the year to the middle of the school year, the percentage of city schools scholars in kindergarten through grade 5 moving to the at or above benchmark in the nationally recognized Dibbles M-Class assessment of early literacy outpaced the national rate of growth at each grade. Furthermore, when we look at our end-of-year results, the percentage of our students that improved to the at or above benchmark grew by 9 percentage points among K-5 students, from 28% in the beginning of the year to 37% at the end of the year. Now, anyone who knows me knows that 37% of students is not the end goal. We won't rest until it's 100% of students. But what we also know is that if in the midst of all of the challenges of the past year and a half, in the midst of everything else that was going on, we were able to move some of our earliest learners. What that means is we have the capacity, we just need to dig deeper, we need to focus, and we need to recommit to making sure that all young people hit their goals. So my response is, the journey isn't over. We do, and I've always said, we have a lot of work to do. But the message is, we are moving in the right direction, we have momentum, and we have strength to build on. And frankly, I do think it is something to celebrate that our students, our teachers, our families worked together alongside us to get these gains. Now, on the screen, you'll see 4 dollar figures. These are annual salaries that most impact our students once they graduate from our system. These numbers are also clear motivations for why career readiness is of critical importance. The most significant number, that $27,477 per year, is the income needed for individuals in the Baltimore area to support, and I say support, themselves based on a 2020 study. Now, that number, I want you to take a look at alongside the $19,300. Now, that's what students that ultimately graduated college in the class of 2009 earned. The $13,400 figure was what members of that same class of 2009 earned annually if they never attended college. The final number is about less than 67% of 18 to 24-year-old former city school CTE students earned from that same class. Now, I want that to sink in. No matter what course of action a student in Baltimore took after graduation, the destination was unfortunately the same. They earned significantly less than what is necessary simply to survive by themselves in this city. Those figures are what has driven our work in career readiness over the last 4 years. This is why we have made the investments in advanced placement, in CTE, and career readiness. And again, what we are seeing is that the long-term focus begins to pay off. We are consistently investing in our AP program. These are those high-level courses that expose young people to college-level content. And what we have seen is even with the pandemic, we've added more sections, more classroom seats across more schools. We have more qualified teachers, and the number of the schools offering the programs than we were when we began. And even most importantly, with all that has gone on, we have a greater percentage of students that are currently passing the AP test than we did 4 or 5 years ago. This means that a greater number of our high school students are taking classes that will prepare them not just for college, but to actually succeed in college. And once they're there, they'll use items like you see here as our navigation center that we launched to help guide their journey to their next level of education. And you'll see here one of those navigation centers on one of our public Baltimore City buses as a way of making sure that we're spreading the word that once you leave city schools, we are still connected to who you are. With regard to CTE, in 2020, city schools really began launching the latest version of our career technical education plan. This was long a priority of many in our community. When I returned as CEO 5 years ago, one of the themes I heard over and over again was that the need for our young people to have greater exposure to careers, and if nothing has brought that home this last year, and the rate of financial impact to communities has solidified the need that our community identified years ago. So our work this year is refreshing and updating, reshaping our CTE programs. What the community will see is that there will be a greater number of CTE programs across across all schools. What we're used to is CTE programs being concentrated in a few select places. What you will see as we are moving forward, even in this school year, even as we come out of the pandemic and return to a majority of in-person learning, what students will experience is more opportunities in more high schools to get the kind of career exposure that we know our young people deserve. And when we do it right, we get moments like these. When students in our districts, when students in our district schools are growing by learning. And in this picture, what you'll see is some students that are learning to be surgical technicians through a partnership with the University of Maryland Medical System. Now, I will end here by saying this, that the state of our schools is one where we absolutely have more work to do, where we need to plan, and we are planning and working to make sure that the supports that I have talked about today are in place. We will be coming with additional supports because we are still getting feedback from our community. around what's needed, what needs to be prioritized. I will also say this, though, that with all of the work we have yet to do, with all of the work that both myself and the board realize needs to happen, we still have needs in improving students' mathematic achievement. We still have needs in our middle schools in making sure that young people are equipped to the fullest in every middle schools program. We know that the needs are there, but what we also know is we are moving, and we have set the foundation on which we will be able to build the next level of this work. We have what we need, but the one thing that we will never get enough of is the partnership with our community. We will never have enough of the feedback and the partnership that requires an entire community to embrace its children and build a generation of young people who will take over, not just leading from where they are now, and we have many examples of young people leading from where they are now. We also know that we need them to take over when people like me decide it is time to move on. We need to have a pipeline of our city schools young people ready to take the helm. We're committed. We're building on progress. We are not there yet, but we are seeing early gains, early rewards, and early areas of strength that we will continue to invest in. So I want to thank everyone today. Again, I want to thank the principals for hosting us. And with that, I will turn it back over to the communications team. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Dr. S. City Schools is proud of its young people, and to end our program this morning, we are honored to welcome the Singing Sensations under the direction of Ms. Mincy and Mr. Lathan. Students from 8 different schools across the district perform at various events throughout the school year. Please welcome to the stage the Singing Sensations.
My face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can while I can, when I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night. And so I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. Early in the morning, the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving towards that separating line. I'm wading through muddy waters. You know I got a made up mind. Whoa. And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I fight with the strength that I got until I die. And so I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone, and I just might fail, but Lord knows I've tried. Sure, stars fill up the night. Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Keep it on. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Across the river, can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
Special thanks to the Singing Sensations, and thank you for taking us to church. This concludes our program this morning. Thank you for attending the 2021 Baltimore City Schools State of the District Address. Make it a wonderful day. Thank you.